o'clock. We have chaplain, please. Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's stand as we pray, and then we say the Pledge of Allegiance. Heavenly Father, we just are so grateful for today. We thank you for the cool weather that's coming in, but we certainly need the moisture, and we're asking you to pour that down upon us. Be with this meeting today and all the things that need to be talked about and decided on. I pray that we receive your guidance today. Be with these commissioners that serve and all these that are here that are attending. May we just do what needs to be done for this county. Be with our first responders out there as they continue to watch closely for grass fires and many other things that happen in this dry heat. And do this all in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Commissioner Bachner, you got the county weed board first.
Calling the meeting the weed board to order. Please roll call.
Commissioner Munson.
Here.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Here.
Commissioner Bittner.
Here.
Commissioner Schwab.
Here.
Chair Bakken.
Here. Approval of the agenda, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Bittner.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Chair Bittner. Or, sorry, Bakken. That'll be the first time.
Yes. Consideration of the May 18th, 2026 meeting minutes. What are your wishes?
Move approval. Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bittner.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Chair Bakken.
Yes. This is public comment for weed board concerns. Anybody wishing to speak concerning the weed board? First call. Second call for public comment. Third and final call for public comment. Public comment is now closed. With that, next agenda item, Weed Board Officer Johnson.
Good evening, members. Chair Bakken. Just, I'd like to come in July, beginning of August right here to just kind of give you guys an update on what's going on out there. The chemical purchases and has been going real well. I was distributing from April 30th through June 25th. It's close to about the same number of people for purchasing this year, as well as the landowners getting chemical applicated on their property on the noxious weeds. That number's real consistent with last year also. A lot of the landowners are still interested in doing some fall application on their spurge areas because they've talked to other neighbors and whatnot and seen a real good outcome with the second application. So, and like I'm mentioning here, the ROWs this year, we're doing the high noon and tore down and liberate yet. We're going to take and use some E2 on the county pits and this fall here because of the kochia and whatnot. All the pits have been applicated with this this high noon tore down liberate, but this fall the kochia's it's some tough stuff to get rid of, so we're going to do some E2 on that with a rain liberate with it. And then now that it's the weed board, I can tell you what we did with beetles this year. Instead of last meeting, I ordered beetles through a company out in Montana. It's Weed Busters. I ordered in 18 applications. There's 1,500 beetles in each container. And they're both put on some private land, some land up by Wing, and then there's some also on another landowner's up on 1804. Hoping that in time we'll be able to get a collection site closer to town here where both landowners don't want it open to the public, but the weed officers of the state can come in and do their collecting and take back to their counties. That's what I'm working on in this area here. And then all the townships have been sprayed and applicated their first run. We're actually running around now, tidying up some of the thistle was later, of course. I mean, like this, it usually comes in that July, August time. But we're finding a lot of younger stuff now coming back, so that we're out applicating that. And we're also applicating on the forbs that are in problem areas, like your Chinese elm and stuff that are growing up on your corners and where they're going to hold back, snow on certain right-of-ways and stuff. So we're applicating some of those areas too. We just got a few miles of the ROWs are done, but for the NDDOT, we're back up on 14 because that was new construction last year and the year before. So there's a lot of growth there, and so that's where we're at there. We're still under budget for the NDDOT as of right now. They got their 35,000 is what they budget for it, so we're still underneath that. And then just a little bit, the symposium's coming up here in August, the 24th through the 26th. I'll be attending that. We got, I could have added the portfolio for it, but we got a number of speakers that are coming out of state, just to give some, clues of what they're applicating and whatnot on what they have for weeds. We don't all have the same, just similar. But then there's going to be up there. There's going to be a spray clinic up there and weed identification and different things like that. So, and this is held only every 2 years. So, and the application was actually part of the bills that were agreed on tonight. So, I'm entered up for that. So, but that's what I have for just a little update. Any questions from any of you gentlemen?
Commissioner Schwab?
There are other deals coming up. They seem to pop up. I take it that nobody has a problem with Darren going to them, so he doesn't have to get permission all the time, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Continuing it and stuff. So I think that's just consensus, and he's promised me he wouldn't stop at the Long Branch on the way.
You didn't say anything about the way.
I'm not going to comment on that one. I can't do that. To lie is a sin, So
Actually, just for protocol, I'd be more inclined to put it to a vote rather than a consensus and put a dollar amount of continuing education on that. Darren, typically, what's the expense for?
Well, like the
in a year?
symposium, the symposium's $300 for just a person to go. So I'm the only one going up there for Burleigh County, of course. But the conference that there ties in with the membership to NDWCA. I can't remember exactly what that is. I mean, it's not $1,000. It's probably like $500, $700 or whatever, right in there, $100 for that. But in that, I mean, I thought about contributing or being a sponsor for either breakfast or something at the symposium this year. But talking with Merlin Leadhall from Elgin, he said they've got the monies to have this, but the monies would be better appreciated towards the conference later on, in the beginning of the year.
So if we gave you a discretionary budget through the weed board for $5,000 for continuing education conferences and
I actually have the stuff here for the preliminary budget. So, I mean, if we want, we can talk about that at that time, because then I'll have my number. I don't have it right now on me as far as what it is.
Rather than a consensus, just so it's in stone, because we've run into too many handshakes and agreements lately, I would feel much better that if it was actually to a vote. So,
Mr. Chair, if I can. So in his 26 approved budget, he has 2,000 for traveling, lodges, and meals, and another 1,000 for continuing education that we've already approved.
right. So, do we need to increase that, or are you comfortable with that number?
Well, what would be the total then?
3,000.
3,000.
3,000. I would say that'd be, I didn't go to Carrington this year, because it fell in a little difficult time, but, I mean, it's 3,000. If you want to up it a couple of it, that'd be fine, but I think 3'd be fine with it, you know, I mean, because even with the contribution coming out of that, you know, of a few dollars towards the conference.
Seems how your budget's pretty much set. If you're comfortable with 3,000, we'll just leave it at that. And
Okay.
then if something comes up next year, you can just come back to the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can do
Okay.
that.
Perfect.
All right.
I think the more education we can
Yeah.
get to, the better. So
Absolutely.
I would encourage you to come back if
Quite a
if you're
few
gonna
of
get to
them,
that
quite a few of them just show up in the summertime, you know, and that's when we're,
busy.
yeah, you know, but not excuse either, but it's, you know, to get more education, you gotta do what you gotta do too, but keeping track of counties gets to be a little bit of a driving time and stuff, and looking at stuff, so. But at 3,000, I mean, I think we'd be
Okay.
fine with that.
So we'll just address that when it comes up in the budget then.
Okay. Is there any other questions, gentlemen?
Thank you, Darren. Any other business for the weed board? Hearing none, weed board is adjourned.
Okay, the time is, note the time. Okay. We'll call the Burleigh County Park Board August 3rd, 2026 meeting to order. First item is roll call of members.
Commissioner Schwab,
Here.
Commissioner Munson,
Here,
Commissioner Herman,
Here.
Commissioner Bakken,
Here.
Commissioner Woodcox,
Here.
Commissioner Bame. Here. Chair Bittner.
Here. Approval of the agenda. Commissioners, any additions, subtractions, anything like that?
Mr. Chair, if we could move A down to the bottom, it'd be nice to get through the top three fairly quickly and then leave some time for the discussion on the new park board option.
7A,
Yeah, 7A, move that to the bottom.
in front of other business.
Yep, please.
Okay, anybody have an issue with that?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve with that change. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Herman,
Yes.
Commissioner Bame. Yes. Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Consideration of the July 6th, 2026 meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bame,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Herman,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox,
Here.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, this is opening for public comment relative to the Burleigh County Park Board. Anybody have anything they wish to say, speak? Once again, this public comment period, anybody wish to speak? Third and final call. Anybody wish to speak under public comment? I'll close the public comment period. Then we'll move into item 7B, Kimball Bottoms Asphalt.
I'm gonna ask Nick Cullen to come up as part of this. So early in July, we had a tree, let's go Kimball Bottoms, asphalt. Nick had met with Auditor Sponskowski and the Corps, and I'll let Nick give us the results of his survey and our report card, and then their demand. I wouldn't even say a request, their demand.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. Yes, Commissioner Munson's correct. At his request, I met out with the Corps and Auditor Sponskowski on July 23rd at the Kimball Bottoms area where we're looking at the bank stabilization here in maybe 27, 28. But one of the biggest concerns that they had brought forward to us was the asphalt again falling into the river, pollution of the river. And they said they've waited a long time, haven't seen much movement. They're happy with the progress that we're making with the bank stabilization project, but they need the asphalt removed now. They can't wait any longer. So if I could have the Elmo up. This is just a quick draft of what we put together. This was planned to be in the 2028 project with the bank stabilization, but being that the Corps is asking this to be removed, put this little exhibit together here for you quick. It's approximately 18,000 square feet of asphalt to be removed, bring some topsoil in some seeding to prevent wind erosion. And then we would look at removing some of the asphalt from the river, just along the water edge. But we don't want to be touching anything along the bank itself so that we don't disturb that vegetation and create further erosion. So I don't know if our agreement was put into the packets or not that I forwarded to you and Auditor Sponskowski.
Yes.
But we're happy to move forward with this project to get this removed and get a contractor out there as quick as possible. Just need your permission to get that to move forward.
Now, this has been a request from the Corps for the last several years. And it had just been a request as we've been out to dredge. We've removed what we could while we were on site and what was available. We went from a request to a demand
Pretty much.
today. They're not giving us any more time.
Commissioner Buck.
And Commissioner Munson, I would assume that if their demands are not met, then they're just gonna go do the project themselves or find a contractor for it, and it's gonna be much more costly.
Be much more costly because they'll bill it all back to us, plus
Correct.
their fees.
Well, how much asphalt removal has been done while the contractor's there?
And I'm guessing with the low water, now's a good time to do it anyway.
And that's why you see a lot more today, which probably instigated a little more of the conversation. I know every year for the last 3 years that I've been involved with the dredging, we've had the contractor on site take what he can, that's down in the water. And I don't know how much has actually been removed over the last 3 years or so, but every year we've taken some that we could get to. So now they're talking up on top, up to the Jersey barriers. They would like all of that removed as well as what's in the water because they don't want any more falling down into the river itself. Their statement is the asphalt is contaminating the river. And they're, again, now at this point is a demand to have it removed.
So let me be clear, though, the demand is only what's visible, or are we getting, I mean, like I'm a certified scuba
Yep,
diver,
right.
are we going out there diving for this stuff, or what are we talking?
No.
No, this would be strictly visual. When you look down from the bank, you'll be able to see a few random blocks that are along the water's edge. We're just asking for the contractor to pick those specific pieces out as good as they can. The Corps understands it's within reason. You're obviously going to have a few pieces that are just going to be left over, obviously. And then all the asphalt on top of the bank still would have to be removed up to the Jersey barriers.
Which,
If we don't get it done, though, I'm guessing at some point it's not gonna be within reason. They're gonna
Right.
demand every
gonna-
bit of it.
we're gonna have bigger problems
Yeah.
down the road.
So what's the fund, and what are we paying for that with?
This will come out of the Kimball Bottoms budget, but we'll have to, we're gonna need to get an estimate first.
Absolutely, we'd have to put together an OPC. I mean, I have a quantity, but I haven't reached out to anyone.
Right.
And I'm assuming this is going to exceed the $20,000 minimum threshold, if that's still what holds, to go to sole source. So we'd have to bid it.
So I would move to approve hiring Houston to put together the bid specs and get this cost calculated for us so that we can bring it back here to this table and make that decision.
Second.
Approving.
A motion and a second, any further discussion, Commissioner?
Yeah, so what's the timetable of getting that put together and getting bids back to us? Because we need to get it done this year, so what's this timetable look like?
We'll have the plan set and project manual completed by the end of next week. And then we would have to go through the regulatory permitting process, though. So we are.
Which can take some
So
time.
it is. Thankfully, the Corps is on board. They said that they would provide us a letter
They'll
of permission.
fast track it?
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. We still have to go through the state DWR, floodway review, and no rise certification, because we're dealing with a regulatory floodway. And then we also have to go through Burleigh County for floodplain development permit. As long as we get those 3 permits, one more sovereign lands as well. we need to get sovereign lands from the state
And then
DWR.
contractor availability as we're
And
getting
contractor
towards the end of the
availability.
season and they're trying to finish up projects.
Yes, sir.
So contingency, if all of these pieces do not come together, what's the Corps' stance if it doesn't get done this fall?
I did not ask that question.
Okay, well,
It's a real thing.
I'm a glass half full guy, but that's a tight timeline.
It is.
So, wish you luck.
Thank you.
But we still need to put together the plan,
Yeah.
and we need to put together the bid so that we have
Yeah, you gotta
all the
get-
costs.
gotta
Yep,
get-
yep.
Any further discussion? Vote, Commissioner.
Is there any need to take a look at where those Jersey barriers are now, so that if there's a need in the future, maybe we can take care of some of that now? As far as
Chairman.
erosion goes.
Yeah, Chairman Commissioner Boehm. What I would say is that the Jersey barriers are far enough back to where, as long as we don't have a 2011 flood again, I believe we'll be able to get the bank stabilization project done before we'd even come close to touching those barriers.
Good question. Any other discussion? Seeing none, called roll.
Commissioner Woodcox,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Herman,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Boehm,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Next is Kimball Bottoms grant approval.
Just to give Nick and his team a little bit of credit since he's standing up in front of us all. Their team put together an application for some grant dollars to help pay for the bank stabilization engineering. And we were awarded $50,052 from the DWR. So
That's correct.
it helps, it's gonna help pay, that grant will help pay for some of that design. So I just wanted to give Nick and his team a kudos. Next item is the Knifel boat ramp vault toilet. Early July, we had a tree fall on top of that. Nick and his team have went together. We will have to have the roof replaced. And Nick reached out to the manufacturer of this, and they will be able to just manufacture a replacement roof so that we don't have to mess with the rest of the construction of that facility. And they will work with Nick and get a bid put together for that, as well as an install company that is certified to do that. This is a fairly recent purchase,
June of 2009.
2009. So the walls withstood the tree, but the roof did not. So Nick and his team will be back with us soon, I hope, with a bid to ask for our approval for the roof. We have also talked to our insurance company, and we do have some coverage. We have a fairly high deductible, but we do have some coverage for this as well. So
Commissioner Bakken.
Is it still usable or?
it is still usable.
Okay.
yes. The concern is where the roof is cracked as winter moisture starts moving in. Seepage, and then the freeze, cracking more of the concrete. It'll become dangerous to this winter. So we're gonna wanna make sure we're ahead of the game on getting that replaced.
What about the rest of the tree? Is that,
The tree's all been removed. I did hire them to remove the stump, and they were gonna put that in their non-emergency schedule to get that stump taken care of. But with today's, I'm sure they're all busy again today, after today's stuff, so.
Okay. There's not really any action.
No
required
action
on that.
needed there as well. Nope.
Okay.
Last item would be,
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a quick
Commissioner
question?
Woodcock, yes.
Are we doing any dredging there at the base? Because I see that's virtually impossible to get a boat in and out of there. Are we doing it?
we dredged that a couple months ago.
And
For as far out as our responsibility is. Now the marina is responsible for the rest.
Okay.
But that's one of those marinas we have to dredge every year.
I know that.
It just keeps coming back in. But there's a very defined line as to where our responsibility is and the marina's responsibility. And so we've worked very carefully to make sure we take care of our portion only and the marina is on their own to get out to the mouth.
Okay, we're gonna move on.
All right,
Back up
formation
to
of a new
7A.
park board, and the more, Commissioner Bakken and I have talked about this, the reorganization of the Burleigh County Park Authority. So in front of you, or what we gave to you about 6 weeks ago, a document that I created that talks about how this has all been formed over the years, and a framework of options that we can move forward with. Before I get too far, I'm going to ask Julie Lawyer. I had sent her some questions, and she needs to let me know that if this is a park board approval process, or is this a commission approval process? And where do we go from there?
Or both.
My opinion is it should be both. And the reason for that is because the plan looks like it's building another department within the county, which would be the commission's oversight. And then, given that it's directing and controlling the parks, which is the park board's oversight, then that would be the person that they would
Okay.
report to, or the entity that
The
they would
entity.
report to.
Okay.
So therefore, I think it should be both.
Okay, so when we get to the agenda for the commission, since all the documents are already here, we'll add that to the commission agenda today as well. But, so as you go through this, the biggest thing that it's gonna do, number one, it's gonna take Missouri Valley Complex and make it a park, so that it is part of the authority's organizational operation. It does change the makeup of the board to 2 county commissioners and 5 members at large. Other than that, it operates under a budget. At this point in this packet, I have worked through the staffing side of it as well, which is also covered in my budget request for '27. Questions?
Sure.
Commissioner Bakken?
So currently, we have 5 county commissioners sitting on this park board. And under the reorg that changes this to a park authority, why would that makeup change instead of being this with the at-large?
Well, what I see this park authority being is a lot more active within their duties of the park authority. As commissioners, we already have several portfolios to work with on a daily, sometimes weekly basis. I would like to bring more people into this working group, if you will, so that the elected commissioners are managing and monitoring, and the park board, the park authority, are handling the day-to-day planning and operations of it, along with the staff.
In regards to that conversation, I see this getting wildly out of control, Commissioner. Right now, you have a park board that's fully accountable to the citizens of Burleigh County for any expenses and any operations. And we have members of the board that are compensated for being here. We don't get any additional compensation that I know of.
Correct.
So first off, just on that one item, you'll automatically increase the costs of the Burleigh County Park Board for every single meeting.
Correct.
And then second off, I think that would give unelected or appointed individuals financial authority that they're unaccountable for. And I see that as a huge problem for Burleigh County. Because when we make a decision for funding, like we're talking about 50 grand here, 100 grand there, probably 3 million for the bank stabilization or something, we're accountable to the citizens for those dollars. And how is an appointed person expected to have the same depth of knowledge of the budgets and the costs? So I simply think that it's a recipe for disaster. Commissioner Puck.
So what if it were built as a department accountable to this board, but a department head and staff, because we're going to need staff at some point with the park authority, or I like that terminology as opposed to a park district, or it separates us from what we were in with the city. But we're gonna need that at some point. So what would that look like if we had, you know, and I'm not saying it's this budget cycle, but at least a pathway to grow into, we're going to need something more. Because managing the mowing and the caretaking and putting in the docks and making sure that the budget's lined up so that the highway department's billing back those services and whatever other services are required, there needs to be a better mechanism to work with.
I think you get that much work done on Monday and you got nothing left to do the rest of the week. I had that portfolio for a long time. We had a park ranger similar to the part-time guy we had this year. There was no problem with the park ranger managing the mowing, the trash collecting, the toilet paper in the outhouses. Everything that needed to be done was handled, no problem, without any additional staff. Now, if there is some development at some point in the future, which I think that whole question needs to be addressed through a strategic plan of some sort. We don't have any, quite frankly, I'm disappointed in this complex committee. I'm not seeing progress, so I don't know how throwing more bodies into that with no increase in work. We haven't added a single park, a single boat ramp, a single outhouse. We haven't changed anything. And going through Commissioner Munson's numbers that he presented for the Budget Committee, it appears, from what I recall, that Bismarck Parks and Recs was billing us for approximately 20% of the director fella's time, and approximately 15%, I believe, of the part-time worker's time. So that would be Monday for the one guy in a week, and then part of Monday for one guy, for a part-time guy. So getting to a full-time employee for Burleigh County Parks is just astonishing to me.
Well, and I was told by a park board member from the city that the services they provided, they were losing money with what they were providing for Burleigh County. That's what they said. So,
It's possible.
Mr. Chairman?
But that was the deal, Commissioner Woodcock.
You mentioned that we had a park ranger back several years ago, and I remember that did work out well, but now you're talking about, we don't have anybody hired, now we're hiring a new one, and you're objecting to that.
No, I'm not objecting to the park ranger guy. I think we need that.
Absolutely.
We needed it then, we need that now. Now, that guy has gone back to school, so we're back to no employees now.
We're on our own, yeah.
But that one position has no problem handling the need
Right.
for county. So now in your budget, you're talking, and I'm not quite clear on how come you have wages and salaries type of things in the individual boat ramp budgets, but you're also funding the FTEs through the county parks budget. It looks to me like double dipping, but,
If I did, then that's a mistake, right?
well, that's the way it looks to me. So
Okay.
I think that we're throwing a whole bunch of money at a problem that doesn't exist. We've functioned just fine. Now, we should be looking to hire a guy that can fill the thing more than just the summer school guy. Because I think we still have the need today. You know, you gotta stock the outhouses with toilet paper, you gotta watch the trash, you gotta check the mowers, guys, that whole thing. Also in your budget, I think you've got a budget for a new truck, a new trailer, and a new mower. I just see this wildly out of control spending, Commissioner, and I think that we need to focus on the most economical way to do the work, not the most expensive.
Correct.
Chair, one thing I'd like to add, though, you mentioned growth and future projects, and I do see future projects and growth coming, so I'm looking more for a pathway to get the pieces in place for when we need it. So I think this is a good start to a plan, And I think we should consider that.
Some strategic planning is probably
Right.
necessary.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with
But a
that.
notion of changing the current makeup of a park board to accomplish that, the Burleigh County Park Board has functioned just fine and is accountable to the citizens as elected people. I see absolutely no reason to consider that. And I think it's a Trojan horse for other reasons, and I don't think I'll ever support that.
So when would you like to have a strategic plan
Well,
broached?
as soon as possible.
Okay.
I think that's probably one of the next things. We've had conversations, I think you and I have had a conversation about, we have to look more at the long-range needs possibly, and I discussed this with the county administrator too, more like a community needs assessment, something that is going to give us a better handle as the decision makers on what to focus on out there that meets the most needs with the least amount of money. Because right now, we're just kind of throwing money at something with no end goal.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Bain?
are there any possibilities that we could research if there are some nearby models that have worked well that we could use to follow or use as a reference?
Yeah, I see no problem with that.
Those that are successes already?
If there is,
Yeah.
I would have no problem.
I mean, some neighboring counties or whatever.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcox?
obviously we got a lot of problems that work out here. I would just soon, because I haven't had a chance, I read it and didn't get a chance to discuss it. So I would like to table this until we get some more information, and even a month from now, not just 2 weeks. I don't think we can do a whole lot in 2 weeks, but I move we table it.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to table. Commissioner Schwab?
I'm going to ask Julie a question. Can Burleigh County have a park district under state law?
So the law does allow service districts for providing police protection, garbage removal services, and defraying the cost thereof. That's specifically what it says regarding service districts. You can, and then there's recreation service districts as well under the law. So I'm not sure exactly what your question is, if you're talking about having a different
Well,
department
in
created
here
for
it's,
it. Is your question the
Yes.
creation of a new department within Burleigh
in here
County?
it says evolution of the Burleigh County Park District. Then down below, it's a standalone reorganization of its park district, Burleigh County. Top of the page, strategic reorganization of the Burleigh County Park District. We don't have a park district.
And that's probably just a wording thing, but obviously the county is responsible for taking care of its parks and recreation areas. And so instead of district, maybe it should say area, because the law says county parks and recreational areas. But
Okay,
no, there hasn't been a specific district.
It's my understanding that only metropolitan areas like the city of Bismarck, probably Lincoln and whatever, can have districts. And this is kind of pushing a district thing that can't happen under state law. But the problem I have with it, if it is a Burleigh County district, that gives him the authority to tax. We just got done lowering taxes through the sales tax, and it's kind of taking it with one hand, giving it with the other. I think this is headed for some kind of a tax trap, just like when that building was turned over to the park board and we've got to rent it back for $5,500 a month after we paid it. And there's things in here, and one thing I really object to, It's on page 17, cooperation with the highway department. Highway department's cooperating light, but the highway department is the county's most well-resourced operational entity. Its role is addressing Apple Creek erosion or Sibley Drive demonstrates its capacity for emergency infrastructure repair. Weiss and Sons did the heavy lifting on that. Burleigh County didn't have the resources because they're out fixing roads, so that's not true. As far as formalizing a relationship with the highway department provides heavy equipment, our highway department right now is over 3 weeks behind, and now we're gonna burden them and have them, I don't know, build roads up there, and we went through that before, that they are not architects for planning, parks, housing. They are strictly highway. But it just keeps creeping up like there's an obsession to get that highway department in there, and the hell with the roads. I can't even imagine passing this.
Okay.
Mr. Schwab, and
Yes,
your department has been absolutely fantastic to work with.
I know it, then why do we have this?
It is simply a statement that the park authority wants to have a good working relationship with the sheriff's department, as well as state's attorney's office and the highway department. It has nothing to do with asking for more. It's just simply saying that we
Then
want to
why
have a
doesn't
great
it say that?
relationship.
Then why doesn't it say that?
Okay.
This thing is false. I'll tell you what, we ran into a lot of trouble out at on the Apple Creek Road, and we're just getting close to pulling out of it. We had took time to go down there to the desert, do what we could, and I know you wanted that done, but we ran up to Bureau of Reclamation, I believe, or Army Corps. A lot of the problems on their property, we can't go in there. And the highway department is working to coordinate with them. But communication has to be communication to understand what we're trying to do. It isn't that the highway department's sloughing off. So the thing about it is, I can get you updated, but we cannot go into federal land and start screwing around. And I mean, that's a no-no.
Okay.
So,
Let me just point out for the benefit of the public, you're talking about doing a different kind of park arrangement,
Yep.
park board arrangement, and somehow that's going to improve the relationship with the county departments, the sheriff's department, the state's attorney, the highway department. I see that as being impossible, because we have an outstanding working relationship with our own departments.
I'm not saying it needs to get any better. I'm just saying that part of the document that we put together is just saying that we have a working the park authority will have a working relationship, no different than we have now. Commissioner Schwab's crew has been absolutely phenomenal for everything we've ever asked. The hope now, as the budget will show, is adding a full-time staff this year and working towards doing that, another one next year as we grow. But next year, we need that full-time staff.
Sure.
You need one full-time staff, not 3. Go ahead, Commissioner Bakken.
See, part of this conversation, for me, it goes back a long way, is what we're leaving on the table, whether at the Missouri Valley Complex or waterfront access, is economic development. We're losing out on that, not having a park authority or a better mechanism by which to function. We're leaving those funds on the table. Ask anybody who fishes what pulling that boat ramp off the river that the city did. What's the impact of that? And I've talked to a lot of fishermen. It's like, the city's comment is, well, it's for everybody that, that's more inclusive. Not if you fish. We need more opportunities. I see the Missouri Valley Complex Committee languishing. I think this would go, or the strategic plan. would go a long way for helping that as well, because we're leaving money on the table that would take off the burden off of taxpayers. So I'm okay with tabling this, but part of the discussion, going back to Commissioner Bame's comment about seeing what is around, I think we should also start taking a look at a strategic plan and what that should be. We need to get going.
Well, we have to do that, because right now we're just.
Spinning wheels.
You're in the wheel.
I call for the
Yeah,
question.
there's
We've got a
nothing.
motion and a second to table.
Okay, well, we're gonna table it. Any further discussion? Call the roll. Hang on. Commissioner Schwab is out of the room.
Mr. Chairman, when we talk about cooperation between our departments, we have to have that. I mean, we don't want 7 entities out there being independent. Well, I'm gonna bill you for this if I do anything. I'm gonna bill you. I don't wanna do that because it's not my job.
Right.
I think we have to have cooperation between the Water Resource Board and the park complex and the boat dock people. I mean, if we're gonna be so independent that we can't, on an emergency, come down and say, hey, pick that up or fix that, whatever, we're not doing our job, because we just have to have that cooperation.
Well, Commissioner
Yeah, we do.
Woodcox, that's part of the reason we brought a county administrator on board.
Absolutely.
To manage all those different tasks. That's 100% why they're there, and a lot of it is to not have silos. That's the worst thing you can have in any form of government.
I see this effort as creating those kind of silos,
Well,
because it's just
we need to get
not
on with
very
the
well
strategic
thought out.
plan, is my
Okay,
thought.
we had a call the question. Commissioner Schwab, we were waiting on you, so call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
No.
Commissioner Bame,
Yes.
Commissioner Herman,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
No. Motion carries. Okay, any other business for the good of Burleigh County Park Board? Any other business? Thank you, Commissioners. We are adjourned from the Burleigh County Park Board. And I will call the August 3rd, 2026 meeting of the Burleigh County Commission to order. First item is roll call of members, please.
Commissioner Schwab,
Here.
Commissioner Munson,
Here.
Commissioner Woodcox,
Here.
Commissioner Bakken,
At 5:48, I am here.
Chairman Bittner.
Here. Okay, the approval of the agenda. Commissioner Bakken has asked to add something right ahead of other business. So we'll put a Commissioner Bakken rail conference in between 8A and other business. Any other changes or wishes? I would like to pull one item from the consent agenda for further discussion. Thank you, Mary, for pointing that out. There's a special, what's it called? Special use request,
Special event permit?
special event permit. And, yeah, Wilderness Cove. And the reason for pulling that for discussion is to ask questions about the license, whether it's a city license or a county license. So I want to discuss that and have a sheriff's department involved with that. Any other changes or anything? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to approve with those changes.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion and a second to approve those changes. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yo.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Consideration of July 20, 2026 meeting minutes and the bills.
I did the bills. I approved them, but I want to flag one. For emergency work that was billed for $3,500, doesn't make any difference who billed it. But I was billed, and the person that needed this done had the right to do it. However, I didn't have the right to do weed control out at the fairgrounds. So I think there's kind of a double standard there. Other than that, the bills are okay. But I just wanted to call that to your attention.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcock.
didn't we approve the gas bill of 219?
No,
Or what, 216?
you can't because I didn't bill you.
I'm sorry?
You can't. Where's Taylor? Is he here? Taylor, come up, explain it.
Well, we did that individually on that one particular
Yes.
bill, didn't we?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I needed to know.
Yeah, so I spoke with Commissioner Schwab today. So we haven't received an invoice or anything for that yet, so we don't have anything to pay. Now, since you guys did approve the minutes tonight, we can pay off of that, but there has been no invoice submitted yet, so our office hasn't paid anything.
I'll be pushing up daisies before you get an invoice.
Chair,
Commissioner Bach.
how does that affect your accounting?
In what way?
Your checkbook, it's a bill that's been approved that's not
Well,
paid.
the minutes weren't approved yet, so we don't have anything to back up why we wrote that check. We'd have nothing. So once we get the minutes, we'll write it and it'll be in the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks.
So, Mr. Chairman, if you flagged those two, how can you flag something that wasn't there?
Pardon me?
You flagged those two bills, 3,500 and 219 or whatever, right? Just now? You approved the bills and you pulled out two that you didn't approve of. How can you pull out something that's not there? Because he just said we didn't get an invoice.
He didn't pull.
No, he
that's
didn't.
not what
No,
he
I
said.
never approved that.
That's not what he said.
You understand what I mean? I thought I heard you say you approved the bills, with the exception of those two, 3,500 and
Well,
something else.
no,
He
no,
But
said
the-
he did not submit a bill. Let's, probably heard that wrong, Commissioner.
Yeah,
Not invoiced, you can't pay it.
right.
Okay.
So the invoices are approved and the minutes look good.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes and the bills. Any further discussion? Call roll.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes?
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, next is the consent agenda. You got abatements, special event permits, raffle permits, 2026 Q2 Treasurers Report, and second access request. Remember, I pulled the special event one, so, or asked for that, so.
Move to approve with the exception of item 6B, the special events permit.
Second.
Motion and second, any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes?
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
Commissioner, or Chairman, we did skip over public comment.
Oh.
Guess
Okay,
that'll be good catch.
will be next.
Never mind.
Just rocking right through it. Anybody wish to speak under public comment period? This is open for public comment. Anybody wish to speak? Third call. Anybody wish to speak under public comment? I'm going to close the public comment period. And now, in regards to special event permits, I think we had one of these in the past. County administrator flagged this for me, that the applicant has a city liquor license, but not a county liquor license. So the question was, what to do about that? And I don't know if the sheriff's department has some input on that,
Or state's attorney.
or the state's attorney, I guess.
It's more of a clarification issue. We've done it two ways. We've had applicants go under another business's county liquor license, or we've just approved it. But we've done it two ways, and there's no real clarification for how staff should proceed with those.
Julie, any thoughts?
Legally, where do we stand legally?
On which one? I need to pull it up. Do you have the packet handy?
So they have a permit application, they don't have a county license, but they got a city license. Is that the
Yeah,
bottom line?
that's the way it appears.
Thank you. If you want to table that for a moment, while I look up the law real quick, we can come back to that. That way you can move things along.
Move to
As I
table that item.
research this, thank you.
Second. Motion is second to table, at least temporarily. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes. Motion carries. We'll move on to item 7, city planning and zoning discussion.
Power outages.
What,
City not pay the bill?
MDU didn't,
city planning and zoning discussion, who has that? Anybody know why that's on here?
Mary does.
Mary?
We have 2 open county ETA seats on that commission. They have to live in the ETA boundary, but the county commission does appoint those seats.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. So what we're asking is for citizens that are interested in serving on the city planning and zoning commission, make application for appointment to that, and I would strongly suggest calling the Burleigh County Planning Department or the City Planning Department to review the map of the location, because the available population base to serve on that board has shrunk dramatically. So it may not be real easy to fill those seats, but citizens interested in helping out with the city planning and zoning as a representative of the extraterritorial area, please consider making an application. Commissioner Bakken.
So that was my concern as well, seeing as how we've greatly shrunk the ETA in cooperation with the city. Are 2 seats appropriate on the ETA anymore? Because it's going to be hard to fill those seats. I agree with you on that. So should we look at having 1 ETA seat and then the other a county seat?
Well,
And can we
I
change the
think
makeup of that
I think
board?
there's a state law that talks about the membership, and it's apparently city planning commission bylaws that establish the membership of the board already.
So is
And
that
so
something we
what
should?
this is doing is there's 1 or 2, I guess, current planning commissioners that were in the ETA that's not now the county. And so they're not eligible to sit on it because they're not actually in the current ETA. And also, they have changed the, something to do with the growth management plan, but there won't be a county commissioner sitting on it either after 1st of October, I believe.
Nobody from the county on the city planning?
Right.
If I may, that was a change in the land development code.
Land Development Code. Okay, which is,
Concerning.
well, I'd say it's more than concerning, but it'll give me a break, because I've been on that board now for almost 20 years, I think. Because I was on that before I was even a commissioner, so. All right, so we got that out of the way. We're asking for applications for the current ETA citizens for the City Planning and Zoning Commission. Okay, commission continued items, the 2027 preliminary budget discussion.
Mr. Chair, if I could make a suggestion?
Okay, go ahead,
Since,
Commissioner Munson.
State's Attorney Lawyer still working on her thing, should we go to the rail conference
Sure.
conversation?
I'm good with that.
Yeah, if you guys want to, we can do that. We can change.
So I had an opportunity through the MPO, one of the ongoing discussions, and we're part of this, was the passenger rail service coming back through the old Hiawatha line, which is through Burleigh County and Bismarck, Morton County, and Mandan. So they are having a rail conference at the end of this month. As any member of the MPO that was available to join that conference, there is a free conference admittance to that. I would like to attend that. The only thing we need to discuss is transportation and hotel. But it's a free attendance. I think it's rather important because that is going to be a larger piece of the MPO, and the siting of the passenger depot is going to be of great advantage if we can get that sited in Burleigh County.
Where's that conference?
Helena, Montana.
Honolulu? Oh, Helena, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can go.
I'll go.
Well, I personally see no problem with that. I think it would be good to have some representation at that meeting. I guess my only thought would be, we're not putting you up in a 5-star, and, you know,
If I drive, I'm gonna
And-
sleep in my car. I don't.
and keep yourself out of the Long Branch, like you
Yeah, I
for the
don't,
weed board guy, right? But other than that,
Actually,
I don't have any problem with that.
Actually, it popped up, and I'm actually leaving town the following day I get back, so it's going to be a quick, tiring trip. So
Yeah. Is that something you're asking for a motion? Or
Yes.
Just consensus.
Just consensus.
Yeah, it's such a small. I don't think it's.
I'd move to approve the expenses to attend the conference if Commissioner Bakken believes that he needs a motion.
Second.
Yeah, motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
yes,
Commissioner
I'll
Woodcox,
abstain. Actually,
Well,
I'll abstain.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
And Chairman Bittner.
yes, motion carries. Okay, so now we're back. Julie, are you ready yet, or no?
Sure.
That was a definite maybe.
So, the law regarding issuing basically a permit to allow a qualified alcohol beverage licensee to engage in the sale of alcoholic beverages at events designated by the permit says that it can only be given to a qualified alcohol beverage licensee. And then for purposes of this section, that means a licensee in a city that imposed a city lodging and restaurant tax on July 31st, 93, who paid the tax and continues to pay any such tax imposed by the city, or a licensee in a county. A licensee in a city that did not impose a city lodge tax, whatever, doesn't qualify. So they have them separated as a licensee in the city and a licensee in the county. And because they're saying a qualified alcoholic beverage licensee, my opinion in quickly reading the statute and looking at the Attorney General's rules and not seeing anything that's helpful in case law, basically if they have a liquor license that allows them to sell in that jurisdiction, then they can have a special permit for someplace in that jurisdiction. But my quick opinion here is if they're licensed in the city, we can't give them a special permit in the county because they're not licensed to sell alcohol in the county.
Thank you.
But the city is part of the county.
Correct, but a city liquor license wouldn't allow them to open up a business in the county and sell alcohol in that business in the county. They'd have to get a county liquor license for that.
Mr. Chairman, what's a county license cost? Are they nominal, or is it $20,000 or what? I don't even know what they are. Any idea?
Sure.
Commissioner Bakken.
Mayor, you said we've done it both ways, or it's been done both ways in the past.
The way it has been done before is if it's a city organizer, they can go under an existing county license. Like, I know in the past, they've done it under Burnt Creek, which is now Crossroads. I mean, we've just done it both ways, so it really needs some
Okay.
clarification.
Do we have a precedent? It seems that we've done it both ways, or?
No, that was.
Better question is,
She was talking about.
should we, and this might be a question for Julie, is do we need to come up with some sort of protocol or ordinance so we know exactly, it doesn't have to come to this table, we know what this,
Well, regardless of what our precedence is, we should be following the law. Like I
Okay.
said, I've had how many minutes to quick research this? And so, like I said, since they're saying a city licensee and a county licensee, and they're a qualified licensee, a city licensee would not be qualified to sell alcohol in the county, and that's what I'm basing
So
my
this question
opinion on
shouldn't
right
come
now.
up again.
That makes sense.
We
If that's
should be
the
looking into it and then giving a well-researched opinion on it. My advice to you is, since this is for this coming Friday, there isn't time for us to put something together for this board to approve a special permit. And based on what I'm seeing right here, just by the letter of the law, it doesn't appear that we can grant that special permit under their city license. Now, as Ms. Sanger was saying, there in the past, they have operated under someone else's liquor license, like through another entity that is licensed in the county to do an event in the county, but that's not what this special permit is being used for. And so my recommendation is, at this time, based on the law and the strict reading of the law, is to deny it. And then we can come up with a policy after we've done some
Okay.
in-depth
Can we
research and
work
see if there's an
policy?
opinion.
Hang on, would it be possible to do a contingent approval on the request or getting a county licensed facility to step in? Since there are county licensed facilities.
If you want to
Yes.
put a condition on it saying that it would be allowed if they were operating under, if they were going through a business that is licensed to sell in the county, you can certainly put conditions on that special
Because
use.
then that leaves them the ability to have their event. I don't know if it's a,
Engagement.
you know, I don't want to necessarily scuttle the event, because I have no doubt that it would be fine. But if we could do a motion to approve with a condition of getting a county license holder
To
involved.
back
Through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Move to approve.
Second.
okay. You understood the motion, Thomas? Okay, any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes. Now, applicant, we want you to understand that's conditional on what you just heard us talk about.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcock.
do we have to have the township approval of the liquor license?
Well, if it's a county liquor license, they've already got the approval of the township to operate
Yep.
where they're operating, and then the county commission can authorize them to do, with a special use permit, to sell at a special occasion for that one time. And that special use permit does not require the township to give approval.
Okay, 'cause we had one event 10 years ago that we ended up turning down because the township was the main objector to it. So,
And in this case, this is Hay Creek Township, and they already approved this.
Right.
they did?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's fine.
It's in the packet, I think.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to move on to the 2027 preliminary budget discussion. I did have a conversation with Sheriff Lieben, and he said that he's leaving us behind and having a great old vacation, and he wasn't going to be here. But he does have Sheriff's Department representatives here in case we have any questions or concerns about the Sheriff's Department budget. Taylor, welcome.
Good evening, Chair Bittner and Commissioners. So just a recap quick before we get started. The preliminary budget has to be approved by August 10th. And then we also need to, even though it's already scheduled, just officially set our final budget hearing, which is currently scheduled for September 21st at 5:00 p.m. And then, again, just another reminder, this is the preliminary, this is the starting point, this is kind of everybody's request that asked for something to be put in. The Budget Committee did make some changes, and a few of those were, some recommendations for changes. Some of those were decreases, a lot of them were just moving things around. You know, we had some budgets we wanted to clean up. But anything that you as a board approve for the preliminary, the levy for that, you know, we have a handful of different levies, but let's say the general fund, that levy cannot increase. So if it was something substantial, you know, and it got taken out, it may not be able to go back in if we can't. We'd have to move around things within the current budget if anything changed at the final. So it has to, like I said, it has to go down, but you can still move things around within the budget as long as the levy can't increase, not any one individual department. And then I just had a few highlights. I know I handed out that memo last meeting and kind of went over that, but just some big highlights again. The general fund budget represents an increase of about $4.2 million compared to last year. That has 5 new full-time employees in it. There is a new capital improvement levy and a budget for about $2.5 million. And then that brings the total levy as actually a decrease. So of all county levies, it'd be a total decrease of $2 million. And part of that is due to the sales tax funding a lot of our, well, actually it's funding almost all of our public safety that was approved when the sales tax was brought on. So that actually increased from last year. We don't have the final number yet. We'll get that when we get our deposit in August. But that's up from about 16 million to over 22 million is the estimate for this year. And then, again, just a reminder from the memo, this budget contains about a $4 million deficit, but the majority of that's a budget deficit because we, again, budget kind of worst case scenario, but we do spend very conservatively in the county. But I would estimate realistically it would be about a $1.5 million deficit. If we did use that full 1.5 million out of reserves, because that's where the deficit would come from, that would bring our reserves, which are estimated to end 2026 at 17.7 million. It would bring them down to about 16 million, which is a 35% reserve rate, which is well within our policy. So now I'll just stand for any questions, or anybody has any questions or anything?
Commissioners, any questions for Taylor?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Munson.
So the last several years, and with the new 3% cap, so what have we levied the last 3 years, each of those years? And the levy is calculated after the sales tax comes in, after all the credits from the state come in, correct?
Well, we don't consider the credits from the state because those are for taxpayers. So we tell the state how much we're going to levy, and then based on the applications, because again, that like we don't lose any levy authority if people stopped applying for the primary residence credit. Their tax statements would just go up. So that comes off their bills.
Okay.
We are allowed within the 3% cap to levy based on that kind of, we call it the gross number. And then the net number is the state pays out for homestead credit, disabled vet credit, and then now the primary residence credit.
Okay.
And then the sales tax. But yes, it was based on that sales tax. So one I'll just pick on here, and I guess I didn't go 3 years back. I apologize, Commissioner Munson. I have 3 total years. So in 2025, the general fund levy was 21.8 million. In 2026, it was 6.5 million. And based on where the preliminary budget is currently at, it would be 930,000 would be the general fund levy for 2027. Well, and it's the 2026 levy, but it's for the 2027 budget because it's always a year behind. And the total levy for everything that the county has levy authority over back in 25 was 26 million. And then again, we brought on that sales tax in 26, so that brought it down to about 14 million. And then we'd be looking at 11.7 million for 27, where the preliminary budget currently stands.
Okay, if we took all the recommendations from the budget committee and implemented that, what would the bottom line look like now?
And I had that number. I don't think I have it.
As I went through the budget and reviewed it, those things all made sense to me.
I'd have to get back to you with the exact number. I know I had it at one point, but now I don't. So I'd have to get back to you on that one.
Okay. It wasn't any great big number, though.
No, because like I said, most of them were things that we may have suggested we increase, and some of them were sorry, those increases were mostly moving things around. We have a lot of kind of miscellaneous budgets, and the suggestion from the budget committee was to kind of merge those all into the treasurer's department, like for example, supplies, printing, postage. We manage all those budgets anyway, and so the thought was just for simplicity to move all those into one budget rather than have these 5 or 6 random departmental budgets that the whole county can use. It's still the whole county can use them. It would just be managed by our department rather than have kind of no one knows where the number came from or how it got set. So that way you have a department that's actually keeping an eye on and managing that budget.
Okay. Do you have any sense of the park budgets that I referred to earlier and the amounts in there for employees and how those budgets are divided up, including employees' costs plus the county parks FTE increase?
So and I did double check. So, and I spoke with Commissioner Munson about this. You know, we do have all those. We have the boat ramps that we broke out, and we have the parks. So each of them have their own departments, so the board can budget for those specific, projects or specific expenditures. And then we have the county parks, which is actually a fund in the county. So the park budgets are part of the general fund, but there's an actual fund set up. And so the suggestion was to have all the salaries in the fund rather than try to charge out hours to each. You spent 10 hours at the boat ramp, you spent 10 hours at the park. So that was where they should all be. If there is a document out there where they're in the individual departments, I do apologize for that because that was not how they were. Maybe in an original draft they may have been.
Way back before they were, but looking at like page 69 is Kimball Bottoms. there's no labor, there's no salaries or wages in there. As Taylor suggested, we put it all under the park board. So for each boat ramp, each park, there are no wages and benefits in any of that. Same with the Missouri Valley Complex, I double checked in that one as well, and there is no wages and benefits in that account either. But you're right, Commissioner Bittner, in the beginning, the draft, it was, but then as Taylor and I talked about it prior to presenting to the Budget Committee, we took it all out and we put it all into one account.
That's what I was referring to.
Yep.
The information that you presented to the Budget Committee had that in there.
Yep, that all changed based on Taylor, the Budget Committee's request.
Okay, so how do we go from, let's just pick Kimball Bottoms. Is this $192,000 department head request something to do with pavement removal or the bank stabilization, or what exactly is that for? We went from 25,000 to 192,000, and the same question applies to capital outlay, where we were at 0 last year, and now you went 25,000 and that. Can you explain that?
So contracted services, and I did provide my worksheet, if you will, my internal document to Taylor and the Budget Committee as well, so that they could have an understanding. So in contracted services, we have professional services for engineering at 15. We have service contracts at 1,000, sanitary system at 1,000 for vault pumping, dredging at 15,000, engineering costs for the dredging at 6. We have engineering for the bank stabilization at 150, and you heard today that we did receive a grant for 50 of that. So if we needed to, we could move that from 150 down to 100. But we don't know what additional costs we will have throughout next year for that process. And then we have 15,000 in there for parking lot, snow removal, trail repair, and such like that. So then we go into supplies, and again, my internal document, I list everything from shop supplies to painting supplies to miscellaneous supplies for 200, chemicals for fertilizer for the weed officer to bill back to the boat ramp. I've got 3,000 in there for that. With the proposal in the Missouri Valley Complex budget of purchasing a lawnmower and a trailer and a pickup, now I have fuel into each of my internal documents. In the supplies, utilities are very similar to what we've had in the past. So yeah, my internal document where I calculated out each one of these line items, that all went to the Budget Committee as well.
And I apologize, Commissioner Munson. I see that's not in here. I don't know what happened there. Most of them made it in, but I guess for some reason that one, but I will definitely add it to the final.
When I do my business budgeting, I don't put a $192,000 line item down without having gone through very specifically each line item as to how I calculated that. Because someone's gonna ask a question, and rightfully so, they should. But this is where I have, this is how I came up with my numbers. So I have that, Commissioner, or Chair, if you would like me to send you my internal document, I certainly can as well.
I think that would be real helpful.
Sure.
Because I simply can't support your requests.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcock.
can we go on to another subject? Okay, I want to look at page 1. It's the county board budget, 1 and 2, looking at county involvement. And last year, or this current year, we did spend $35,000 on the 4th of July celebration. And next year, they want to continue, not as much as they did last year, but I would like to recommend that we add on, it's 11,000 now, add on 25,000 to that to make it 36,000 total. Because they continue, this is going to be a community involvement project every year. It was free, it was very well attended and very well approved. So I think our county involvement should at least support that one. event.
I understand what you're saying, Commissioner, but for many, many, many years, we were paying $5,000 a year towards the fireworks show.
Right.
Forever, for as
Right.
long as I
Long
recall.
time. Long time.
5,000.
Yeah.
That 35,000 was specifically because of the 250th
Right,
birthday of the United States of America.
right.
What would possibly justify 35,000 suddenly when we've been paying 5,000 historically?
They're making the continuing weekend or whatever the date might be, is going to be much bigger than they had, say, 2 or 3 years ago when they just had the fireworks at the Capitol. So they intend on having a much bigger celebration than what was done 2 or 3 years ago.
So then you're thinking that now a $5,000 contribution, so suddenly 35,000 per year in perpetuity? Is that?
Well, I don't know what that 11 is to begin with, but I want to add on 25,000 onto that 11, so
Commissioner Buck?
make it 36 total.
So Commissioner Woodcox, wasn't the, part of the reason we landed on the number of 35,000 this year because there was a grant involved?
There was a grant, but we never did receive the grant.
Okay.
Once we decided not to do the mural in the South of the Provident Building, we denied that, or didn't deny it, but we told them we didn't need the grant, so that was returned.
So-
We never did get the money.
we
So if the
dug in that
county's-
county budget, yeah.
So the
Yeah,
county-
so if the county's thrown in 5,000, and what's the other 6? That's on
I
that
have no
11,000?
idea.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Because I would be comfortable, our input for that event going up to 15 or 10. I mean, just due to inflation, and it is very well received. And when I was there, I talked to a lot of people from all over, not just city residents that had attended. So I would like to see something a little bit more in there. I would be comfortable with. Because that is an event that is county-wide, and it will continue to grow.
And I think the county should be involved in more community-wide events, county-wide events.
25 might be a little steep, but
Well, we can put it in there and
Yeah.
get some more input and reduce it down the road too,
yeah.
so.
So doubling it or 15 total for that event, I would be very comfortable with.
Doubling it to what?
Either 10,000 or 5,000.
Well, it's 11 on
10
there, so 11 is not even
Well, I don't know
considering
what the other
anything.
6 is either.
Pardon me?
So, Taylor, do you know what the other 6 is?
I don't off the top of my head. I know we used the historical numbers, and I know it was a little muddied because you guys were discussing, the mural kind of got added, and then I know when the request came, a little more was added.
Okay.
So I'm vaguely thinking maybe it was minus what was originally added for the mural, and we left the rest
Okay.
alone because there was that increase.
But
based
historically,
on
the
their,
county's done 5,000
Yes.
towards the fireworks. So
Right.
if we were to bump, not knowing what the 6 is, and can you find out if you could, I would be comfortable moving that number to 15 total.
So that's a $4,000 increase.
Well,
Because the whole 15 not gonna go to that particular event.
well, no, the event, I would be comfortable doing 15, or at least doubling it to 10. But I'd like to know.
Well, it's
what that-
already 11, doubling it to 10 would be a reduction in what is
Well,
proposed.
no, the county traditionally historically has done 5,000. So I'd like to know what the other 6 is, though, before making a decision on that. But I would like to see us participate at a greater rate. I mean, it is a county-wide, and I can see that growing and growing and growing. It was a very well-attended event.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Munson?
Well, and like Commissioner Woodcock said, I think this budget needs to be developed, so this is what we're talking about for the fireworks event. But what else in county involvement are we looking at doing? And we need to line item that out so we
Other than just
understand.
this event.
Right. We don't want to do all just one event. We need to be involved in several items. And so what do you do today, since we have to approve a preliminary?
We
Soon.
don't have to do that today, do we, preliminary?
By the 10th, right?
Yeah, you would have, if you don't do it tonight, you would have to call a special meeting.
Oh, okay.
But yes, you do have till the 10th.
We have till the 10th, but if we pick a number, again, as Taylor said, it can go down later, but it would be nice, again, the way I like to do my budgets, I'd like to line item it so we know
What are
X
the
is
events
for
are
the
available?
fireworks and X is for what. it's tough to just throw a number. I don't like throwing a number
Yeah.
at.
Well, technically, you should never do that. You
Right.
need to tax for specific purposes, not just use your wild imagination.
Oh,
Other
I don't
events
think
will
it's
count.
wild imagination, really. I mean, that's a little over zealous, so to speak, but,
Well, I'll throw one other
and
thing.
I visited with John Bollinger, who managed the last event at the Fourth of July, and, which was very, very successful. And he felt that and he said they're going to continue doing another event, which won't be as magnificent as the last one, but it still will be way better than what we had before, so that's why I requested the increase. And not the full,
Well, and the better that event is attended, the fewer complaints the sheriff's department's going to have from people shooting off fireworks out in the county. So for me, there's a cost benefit to that as well.
so if we do have to approve the budget tonight then, correct? Unless we have a special
Preliminary.
meeting. Why do we don't need a special meeting, I don't think so. I would move that we approve that we increase the $11,000 request to $36,000, which is a $25,000 increase.
Could you
Second.
could you break that out a little bit, though, for where those funds would go?
Primarily to that event on the Fourth of July next year.
Their ask was 25.
Pardon me?
Their ask was 25.
Right, and
next
we've,
year.
and
For
we've
next
got
year.
11 in for other events. Maybe if that 5 was fireworks, then then go back up to 20,000. And we still would have 25 available to sponsor the next event,
Okay.
right?
For preliminary, I would be inclined to approve this, but I really want to know where that breakout.
Well, and if I can, so that line item is historically a bit of a catch-all for the county board. One consistent thing is some service awards or some county appreciation things for employees, but the bigger one is if the county has special large meetings where you're paying for camera equipment or space. And so that was, again, kind of a worst case, what you've spent historically high in previous years, because it does. Some years it's relatively nothing. Some years it's, 5,000-6,000. And so that's where it's hard because you can't plan for those things, but it's based on the historical use of that line item. One year there was a large contribution to the United Way in there. So it has been kind of a catch-all for the board.
Okay.
Is that where that should go? I mean, that's not community involvement when we do equipment stuff you're talking about. It's not community
No,
involvement.
we should create a new line
And
item
that
for
is
that going
line,
forward.
isn't it? Yeah, county involvement. So that 6 should
I
really
think
go
a
some other
public hearing
place.
is probably pushing the county involvement a little.
I mean, we're arguing
Little
about
bit.
semantics, but we want to get it right too. So I have a motion for 36, or total of 36, but can I adjust that? Was that ever seconded?
That was
That
second.
was
You
not.
seconded it.
Can I
We both did, I thought.
No, you did.
Can I
Yeah,
adjust
I
that and reduce it to 31,000? Take the 5,000 for fireworks, which is really what we're talking about, the community involvement in the event.
So you'd have to rescind your motion.
I'll rescind my motion.
I'll rescind my second.
Now, I move that we increase that $11,000 to $31,000.
Second.
And motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, called roll.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
No,
Commissioner Woodcox,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
No, motion carries.
If I might continue, I got 2 more little ones. Well, one's not little. I think our 2% cost of living is too low. I think we should go up 1% more, and Mary, you gave me the figure of what that would cost us, and I can't remember what that was. Do you remember approximately?
The additional 1% is approximately 301,000.
Okay, thank you. I just kicked that off for discussion, because I just think cost of living is way more than 2%. And I think our continuing fight with getting good quality candidates to all of our departments, no matter what it is, one of the main things that they look at is salary and benefits, probably the biggest. And so if our salary and benefits are slightly higher than others that we compete with all the time, I think that's to our benefit.
Is Pam still here?
Yep.
Sorry about putting you on the spot. Do you have a sense of the cost of living and the actual number?
The actual cost of living trend,
Yeah.
Chairman Bittner? Chairman Bittner, what we're seeing is right around a 3.6 for overall cost of living trend in the cost of living index that comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So it's right around the 3.6, but that's also those that are just giving a cost of living increase too.
Commissioner Bakken?
What would your sense be towards an impact when it comes to recruiting and retention? Does that make us competitive when we're out in the job market a little bit more? I know it helps a little, but does it help enough?
Chairman Bittner, Commissioner Bakken, it would help, just because every little bit helps. That might bring us up a little bit on the totem pole.
Okay.
Because we've had that discussion, so.
Thank you, Pam.
In order to move this along, I move that we increase our cost of living from 2% to 3%.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to increase from 2 to 3%. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yes.
Chairman Bittner?
Yes, motion carries. We'll do a little more research on that. We can always take a closer look, but it seems to me that we have to keep up.
Well, I think part of the conversation, we've had this before, is readjusting where our employees are at and where our scale is at anyway. So this will factor into that to some degree, but that is a discussion we still need to have.
What about the only other recommendation I have as far as a preliminary budget is to implement the suggested changes from the Budget Committee?
I would move to approve that.
The motion was to approve the preliminary budget?
No, the recommendations.
The recommendations from the Budget Committee.
Oh.
I have one challenge to that, so.
Okay.
I have a couple questions, just questions that I have.
Approve for discussion, or second for discussion?
Yeah, we
then.
need a second for discussion, otherwise
Or
we're
it
not going to
dies.
talk about it. Is there a second? Is there a second? Okay, motion dies for lack of a second. You want to go ahead? What's your questions?
Mr. Chair, the one recommendation from the committee that I disagree with is removing the $100,000 from Job Development Authority, which really is the Chamber of Commerce. They've recommended to remove that, and I disagree with that. I don't like paying on past performance, but they have done very well for us in the past. We're going to need them again, and I don't want to eliminate that $100,000.
Is that a motion?
I would move that we keep that $100,000 in our budget.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Commissioner Bakken?
Does that include the other recommendations?
No, that motion is just
Just
to
for that one.
Just for that
Yep.
one? Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Woodcox.
I go back to when they do job development, and I know we have a lack of employees, but still, job development is very, very important. Always has been, always will be down the road. We have ups and downs on labor forces, but job development is still extremely important. And I hang my hat on the Menards business that's out by McKinsey that we fought with Glendive and Billings and somebody out east, Jamestown maybe, and the chamber, the chamber was the lead in that, getting that business here along with the county and the city. We didn't reduce taxes. Taxes in lieu of something. Anyway, we fought for that, and they were the lead on it. We've got it now. We've got a great big business out there that employs like 200 to 300 employees, if not more than that. And those taxes alone that they contribute, along with the labor taxes that come in, more than covers the $100,000 that we contribute to be a member of the chamber.
They also led the charge for our sales tax, and I think that's a phenomenal win for our residents. So I know we'll have the ability to use them in the future as well.
Okay, any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab,
No.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
No. Motion carries. Okay, what's next?
I will make a motion to approve the other recommendations by the Finance Committee.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve.
Mr. Chairman.
The recommendations of the Budget Committee. Commissioner,
Does that mean we can't change anything?
We can go down later on, but not up.
Well, we assume
We're-
everything else in here
we're voting on
is
the
set
rec-
in stone.
we're
All we
voting
can do
on-
is go down.
Listen, we're voting on the recommendations of the.
Their
Budget
list of
Committee.
recommendations.
Yep.
We
Can I
haven't-
ask a-
we
can I
don't
ask a
have
couple
motion-
questions?
We don't have a motion for the approval of the preliminary budget.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
Okay. On page 4, Treasurer's Office, why has salaries gone from 418 to 632? Are we adding on staff there?
So back in October, November, the board voted to combine the finance treasurer's departments. So that
Okay.
moves the salaries for the
Okay.
finance director and, even though we don't have it right now, and the deputy finance director
Okay.
from that budget to the treasurer. So
Okay.
no new staff.
Thank you. And write down a couple more. Property insurance went from 0 to 275. I assume that came from another budget and we're moving it over to here.
Yep, so that far right column, if you look at the heading, is the recommended changes. So
Right.
all of those are things that were their own budget that we're just moving into the treasurer's
From
budget.
another one, okay.
Yep.
Same with the telephone, 45,000.
Yep.
And contracted services, 150 from 2,000 to 150. What?
That's our county's accounting software and our tax software.
Okay.
So that was just its own budget before, and we're just moving that into the treasurer's department.
And we had an audit, I think, in the county board's budget for 45,000. Is that the state audit?
Yes, yep.
Okay, and that's, every year we get that, really, it just moved into our budget?
Yes, I believe that one has always been in the county board's budget.
Does it? Okay. And question on what we're doing, how we coming with our state audit now? And we hired an outside firm to come in and help. What's the status of that?
Slow and steady progress. We've had some IT stuff, so we're kind of at a stall. Their IT is working on it now, I believe, because they're getting into our system so that they can start doing. We've sent a lot of things back and forth with them, but a lot of our files are quite large, and so now they're waiting for their IT to get basically the IT stuff set up that they need to access our server remotely so that they can get into our accounting software and run their own reports and do things like that. But they will be doing a part of what the state auditor used to do. The state auditor was both preparing our financial statements and auditing them, and now we're having the accounting firm prepare the financial statements so that they'll be ready to be audited. So the audit process with the state will be much shorter than usual because they don't have to go through and prepare their financial statements first.
Have we received any billings from the outside audit?
Yes, we have. Yeah, because they're doing 3 different projects right now. They're helping us with our budget process, with just our general policies and procedures, and then also with the financial year end and financial statements.
And any amounts? I'm just looking for ballpark. What have we spent?
Not off the top of my head, but not a significant amount because the majority of the work will
Still
be the
out
accounting
there.
stuff once they get in.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Okay, now I lost track of where we were.
There was a motion and a second.
Motion and a second to approve the
Finance.
Budget Committee.
Budget Committee's
Okay. Any
recommendation.
further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcock.
I hate to bother you, but does the highway department, is that a 1 mil increase, is that correct?
Half mil.
I couldn't tell you exactly. We don't at this stage typically deal in mills anymore, just dollars. I believe it was a $0.5 increase.
Okay.
And their budget is a little, their appropriations are down a little bit because they fund things with grants, with other money, with their savings. But the mill rate itself is, or the mill levy, the dollars levied, is increased. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anybody want to make a motion to approve the preliminary budget? We can discuss some of this at the final.
Move to approve the preliminary budget.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the preliminary budget. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
No, motion carries. Just because I can.
You always have to say no.
He votes against
One of
it
you
every
two
year.
does.
Okay, other business, we already dispensed with, thank you, Taylor. We dispensed with Commissioner Bakken's rail conference thing. Any other business for the good of Burleigh County? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, Commissioners.